Just before 8:30 a.m. Central Time yesterday, there was a shooting through church windows at the Annunciation Catholic Church School. Officials say parents began picking up their students between 9:40 and 10:40 a.m. Mayor Jacob Fry and Police Chief Brian O'Hara confirmed the attack that happened during Mass. The shooter fired from outside into the pews, and the suspect took their own life. Hennepin Healthcare reports 11 patients received, 2 adults, 9 children. Several were in critical condition. Hospitals say that multiple children are discharged and held at the Academy of Holy Angels in Lyndhurst Park as of 8 p.m. last night. 2 children, age 8 and 10, were killed. 17 injured, including 14 children and 3 elderly parishioners. Officials say the remaining injured are expected to survive. Just like I've got every possible thought just running through my head, like every possible thought. I have so much rage that is right below the surface, like just so much of it, just right below the surface. It's there. I can feel it. I can taste it. And then then there's this wave of compassion that just kind of overtakes me. And then I saying goodbye to my daughter this morning, and there's something I've been saying to my kids since they were little. I always tell them, be safe, be kind, be gentle. It's just kind of our thing. We do it every single day, not just when they go to school, but just when they go out. Like something I do. I text my boys since they don't live with me anymore. And it's just today it felt different. It just felt really different. I mean, I just don't know. I'm just having a hard time processing it. The stories that don't get told enough from my perspective in events like this is just the people who we talk in our space oftentimes about unexpected angels. Well, you never know when some are going to show up, literally and figuratively. And I want to remind people, the thoughts and prayers crowd, those victims were thinking and praying. They were sitting in church pews, solemn moments with their God, Bibles in hand. They were thinking and praying. Teachers and older children helped shield others as bullets zipped through the air, preventing the situation from becoming significantly worse. Annunciation Catholic School Principal Matt DeBoer, a fifth grader, said that his friend shielded him from gunfire. His friend was wounded and taken to the hospital. Fry expressed gratitude for the school staff who he said threw their bodies on top of children to protect them. Pat Scallon, who lives down the street from the church, ran the second he heard gunfire. When he got there, the shots had stopped, but 3 children came out of the church, 2 of them badly wounded, he recounted. Scallon helped comfort the kids while they waited for an ambulance. Quote, I felt that it was important to calm them down, let them know that someone was there helping them. I felt helpless. A 13-year-old boy shot in the stomach. He was helped by a police officer who rendered aid, hugged him, reassured him, and prayed with him before getting into the ambulance. A beat officer ran after the shooter, left the church to chase the suspect. The officer had no equipment, no special helmet or anything. Just immediately ran towards danger. It's going to be rough today, friends. I don't want to make this about politics. And I'm desperately trying not to, but it's not both sides. It's just not. There'll be another one. There'll be many. There'll be more senseless losses of life. Hundreds of children, kids, children, not safe anywhere. People just want to, those kids should be just coming home and telling their parents and their brothers and sisters about the first day of school, and they've got a new teacher and how cool the classroom looked, and be talking about a field trip. Salisbury steak on the lunch menu. And their lives are over. And many of the children around them will never be the same. Ever. Will ever be the same. Doesn't matter. It's not both sides. It's just not. And we're going to get the typical rhetoric that we always get. It'll just be thoughts and prayers. It's not the gun, it's the person. It's not both sides. Since 2000, the FBI has been tracking this along with the CDC. There have been 514 victims of school shootings alone, just school shootings. 514 children. I'm not going to tolerate any of you despicable fucks in the chat today. I am not going to tolerate it. It's not both sides. I don't know if you know this, but the firearms lobby, as reported by Open Secrets, directed 98% of its 2024 federal campaign candidate money to Republicans. It's $8.5 million to the GOP compared to $103,000 to Democrats. In 2022, it was 99.6%. It's not both sides. The NRA's direct giving to candidates shows the same pattern. In the 2024 cycle, the NRA's contributions to House candidates, $443,500 to Republicans, $20 to Democrats. It's not both sides. It's just not. I look at it this way. People on the left, ideological left, progressives, Democrats, there could be 100 people, and liberals would feed all 100 to guarantee that not one person starved. Conservatives wouldn't feed any of them in case one didn't deserve it. We see it in everything. We see it in everything. We see it in Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP. Liberals, progressives want to expand coverage so that we can guarantee that people have the social safety net in our country. And conservatives, Republicans, want to cut it in case one person is committing fraud. You can use that analogy for everything. For everything. Everything. Social Security. We can't expand it because, somebody might be committing fraud. Immigrants. We're going to lock up everybody with brown skin because one person might be bad. It's not both sides. 98% of the firearms lobby, 98%, as reported by Open Secrets, money to Republicans. $8.5 million compared to $103,000 overall. That's the overall lobby. And then the NRA specifically, House donations, $443,500 to Republicans in the last cycle, 2024 cycle, compared to $20 to Democrats. It's not both sides. Never has been. Since 1990, lifetime contributions from the gun rights industry, PACs, and employees to their campaigns. This is the top 10. This is since 1990. See if we can identify a trend. Since 1990, Ted Cruz, $1.2 million. Steve Scalise, $871,000. Elise Stefanik, $517,000. Marsha Blackburn, $506,000. Rand Paul, $395,000. Ron Johnson, $384,000. Marco Rubio, $376,000. Dan Crenshaw, $307,000. Tom Emmer, $261,000. Jim Jordan, $259,000. Notice the trend? Every single one of them are Republican. It's not both sides. Never has been. Never will be. The list doesn't really change either. From the latest cycle, from 2024, from my point, Nikki, the top recipients of the gun rights industry contributions, from the top, Ted Cruz, this is from 2024. Ted Cruz, $522,000. Steve Scalise, $442,000. Elise Stefanik, $413,000. Marsha Blackburn, $370,000. Tom Emmer, $174,000. Jim Jordan, $126,000. Jake Elzy, $104,000. Speaker Mike Johnson, $58,000. Dan Crenshaw, $55,000. Ryan Zink, $53,000. Every single time, 98% of all firearms lobbies go to Republicans. And 99.6% money is donated to House campaigns. All Republicans. What's my point, Tennessee James? What's my point? The reason that we don't have changes in our country to protect the most innocent among us is because of people like you. And those people that have their hands out, the same people that claim that they care about kids. Jim Jordan's on that list. You guys know Jim Jordan's story? Former Ohio State wrestlers have accused Jim Jordan, then an assistant wrestling coach from 1986 to 1994, of knowing that team doctor Richard Strauss was abusing male athletes, groping them, invasive exams, locker room voyeurism, and failing to act or report it. Jordan has consistently denied knowing about it or of any abuse. An OSU commission investigation later found that Strauss abused at least 177 students, all while Jim Jordan was employed, and that personnel in athletics and student bodies had significant knowledge of the events. Yeah. Marco Rubio's State Department, by the way, they eliminated employees from the State Department. In fact, one entire office. The office's job was to report on trafficking of children. It's not both sides. It's not. Thank you for saying that, Jess. Yeah, if you're uncomfortable about this conversation, then look in the mirror. It's not both sides. It's not about crime prevention. It's never been about crime. It's never been about crime. It's never been about crime. You know why we know this? I'll tell you. So the 118th Congress, this is on congress.gov, they issued a report. The title of the report is Two-Decade Red State Murder Problem. This is not new. This goes back 25 years. The unaliving rate in the 25 states that voted for Donald Trump has exceeded the number, the unaliving rate in the 25 states that voted for Joe Biden in every year from 2000 to 2020. Over this 21-year span, the red state gap has steadily widened from a low of 9% more per capita, red state unalivings in 2003 and 2004, to 44% more per capita, red state murder rates in 2019, before settling back to 43% in 2020. It's not both sides. Altogether, the per capita red state murder rate was 23% higher than the blue state rate when all 21 years were combined. Now, I guarantee you I know what people are going to say. We'll address that in a moment. If the blue state unaliving rate were as high as the red state unaliving rate, Biden voting states would have suffered over 45,000 more unalivings between 2000 and 2020. Even when unalivings in the largest cities and red states are removed, overall unaliving rates in Trump voting states were still 12% higher than Biden voting states across the 21-year period, and were higher in 18 of the 21 years observed. It's not both sides. It's never been both sides. Did you hear what I just said, Lo? Were you listening? Red states but blue cities? Were you listening? I'll repeat that. Even when unalivings in the largest cities in red states are removed, the overall unaliving rate in Trump voting states was 12% higher than Biden voting states across the 21-year period, and were higher in 18 of the 21 years observed. Did you hear that? Can I assume that you don't believe that information as well? Republicans have made crime a major selling point over the past several elections, decades in fact. In 2020 and 22, they ran ads accusing Democratic candidates of wanting to defund the police, a position held by only a handful of fringe Democratic office holders. In October of 2022, one quarter of ads from Republican candidates and PACs focused on crime. Republican-aligned Fox News aired on average 141 segments on crime across weekdays. In the 2 months leading up to the midterms. In the week after the midterms, their coverage of violent crime dropped by 75%. In March of 2022, a report was released that found unaliving rates in 2020 were 40% higher in Trump voting states than in Biden voting states. In this follow-up report, homicide was studied. The data goes back to 2000 to see if this one-year red state unaliving spree was an anomaly. It was not. Despite a media narrative to the contrary, a wide and widening red state unaliving gap has spanned the past 2 decades. It's not both sides. Despite the Democrat-caused crime crisis, the unaliving rates in Trump voting states has been higher than Biden voting states every single year this century. In 2000, the unaliving rate in Trump voting states was 6.35 per 100,000 residents compared to Biden's 5.47 per 100,000 residents, 16% higher. At its lowest in 2003 and 2004, unaliving rates in Trump states were 9% higher than in Biden states. At its highest in 2019, unaliving rates in Trump states was 44% higher than in Biden states. You continue to use the argument about blue cities. The data tells us even if you removed the blue cities, as you like to say, it's still the same. It's not both sides. Since 2000, this is how far back the study goes. Since 2000, it's usually been Louisiana or Mississippi at the top of the list. Yes, but you are including all the Dem cities. That is false. Okay, you see what I mean? You see what I mean? That comment is proves my point. The comment is that, but you're not including blue cities. We are. That's what the data has captured. The data has captured at the state level, and then based on the crime rates in the state, and then they remove the blue cities, as you guys like to say, the largest population centers in those states, the largest cities. You all like to say the largest cities are all run by Dems. You take the stats from those cities out, and red states, Trump voting states, still higher. Still higher. Again, since 2000, it's been Louisiana or Mississippi. It's always been at the top. In 2020, this is the top 10. Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Missouri, Arkansas, South Carolina, Tennessee, Illinois, Maryland, and Georgia. 8 of the top 10 Republican. In fact, every single year, every single fucking year since 2000, unaliving rates, violent crime rates has always happened at a much higher percentage in red states than in blue states. And because people who did the stats gathered the information from the FBI, from the CDC, et cetera, every time they remove the large, thanks RJ, I saw that. They remove the large cities. Every time they take the large cities out and produce the data, and what do they find? The exact same thing. The exact same thing. It's not both sides. It's never been both sides. Something as simple as student loan relief. Democrats would offer it, leftists, left-leaning individuals, liberals would offer it for everybody to make sure that one person who would be debilitated by the student loan debt would be covered, at least given a chance. Republicans, on the other hand, would cut all of it because one person may have committed fraud, or that one person may not have deserved it. SNAP benefits. SNAP. Supplemental Nutrition Program. Democrats, liberals, leftists want to expand it so no child goes hungry in our country. Not one. Not one. And Republicans cut it because one person may have committed fraud. It's not both sides. Never has been.
I have it copy and paste it ready to go. I cite it in a lot of my lives as well, so I want you guys to have access to the numbers and the things he's citing. So just send me a DM and I'll send you guys a study.
Yeah, we've got it. It's in the mod chat now. We've got it.
Perfect. Yeah, a lot of people.
How you doing? How you doing today?
Great. Dude, early happy birthday, by the way.
Hey, thank you. You too, man. You too.
He's turning 39 and I'm turning 40. It's crazy how that works.
I know. You get a lot of people that come into your live and talking about this stat, right? And I think I think what I find really interesting with this study, and I'm sure you would agree, is that even removing, first of all, they refer to them as blue cities. Like, okay, whatever. For the purpose of this argument, let's call it a blue city. The largest cities in these states. Even when you pull them all out, the data still says the same thing. Higher crime rates, especially murders, gun violence, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's always higher in the same states: Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Missouri, Arkansas, South Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia. It's always the same list, right?
And it's not even close. The numbers are out of control. Not even close.
Not even close.
All right, man. Listen, I got to get back to work. I'll let you get back to it. Anyone in the chat who wants that study, please send me a DM. I'll send it to you.
Hug your kids today, buddy. I love you, man. See you later.
Thanks, man. Bye-bye.
I have no, after doing this for years, I have no expectation that anybody on the right is going to accept any of that data. I don't care. I don't care if you do. We know what's real. It's been, how can you deny the fact? What are the numbers again? I just want to make sure I have it correct. Let's see. Just so I'm clear. Since let's see. During the last two cycles, the last two election cycles, it's always been Republicans at the top of the list receiving money from the NRA and the gun lobby. 99%. Top recipients: Ted Cruz, Republican, Texas; Steve Scalise, Republican, Louisiana; Elise Stefanik, Republican, New York; Marsha Blackburn, Republican, Tennessee; Rand Paul, Republican, Kentucky; Ron Johnson, Republican, Wisconsin; Marco Rubio, Republican, Florida; Dan Crenshaw, Republican, Texas; Tom Emmer, Republican, Minnesota; and Jim Jordan, Republican, Ohio. I dare any of you MAGA simps and you conservatives to contradict that information. You won't. 90, what's my point? What's my point? What's the point? The Republicans have more common sense? Look at that comment, friends. Republicans have more common sense to allow more children to be killed in school? Thoughts and prayers. It's not the guns. Give me more money, NRA, and I'll continue to say that. What's the point? What's the point? The point is, we will never get meaningful legislation because I think the number 70%, RJ would know, I think it's over 70% of all Americans combined. Even the majority of Republicans believe that there should be some type of responsible firearm reform. Do I think we're going to get it? Nope, I don't. Mental health? Funny you say that. Because like I said before, liberals, progressives, Democrats want to expand access to mental health care in our country. Expand it, either through universal health care or just funding more mental health opportunities for people. What do Republicans do? God, we can't do that. So we're going to cut Medicaid and Medicare. We're going to make it harder for people. We're going to make it harder for people. We're going to raise their taxes. We're going to cause inflation, which is going to cause people to do more things. Poverty, poverty, poverty. Petty crime turns into things worse. You don't want to do anything about mental health care. Nothing. We could say, I could put out my hand and say, you want to have a conversation about mental health? Absolutely. Okay, cool. Let's expand it so we can get more people. Oh, we can't do that. We can't afford to pay for it. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. I've reached out to Brett. I think he'll be joining us today. I don't know. I'm not gonna. I mean, I hope he does. I don't really. I don't even have. I don't even have an agenda for today. I just. Ted Cruz, Steve Scalise, Elise Stefanik, Marsha Blackburn, Tom Emmer, Jim Jordan, Jake Elzy, Mike Johnson, Dan Crenshaw, Ryan Zinke. And I will guarantee you, every single one of those fuckers will put something out in social media today to say thoughts and prayers. Good reminder. Thank you, Cookie. If you are in crisis, 988, please. You're not alone. We see you. It's not, to me, it's not even about empathy anymore. I mean, it's not even about that. It's just about the right always wants to find someone else to blame other than themselves. Other than themselves. I talk about it, and I know, hold on a second. People always want to say, oh, we shouldn't be talking about it. Well, when the fuck should we talk about it then? If we can't talk about it after it happens, we can't talk about it when it's not happening. We can't talk about it here. We can't talk about it there. When are we supposed to talk about it? See, just some of the comments that have been flashing by this morning. Why don't you blame this? I'm not here to blame anybody other than the fact that we have elected officials in our country who are taking millions of dollars every single year from the gun lobby. The gun lobby, by the way, the instruments that they produce are the #1 cause of death for children in our country age 1 to 18. Year over year over year. My points are based on fact. Year over year over year. Once again, we know that our conservatives in our country do not care about the information because they've been scared to think. Responsible firearm legislation to us means just that. Republicans will not ever, conservatives will never vote for it. So again, 100 people. Here's my analogy. Democrats, liberals, leftists would pass comprehensive firearm legislation to protect one kid. Republicans would vote against it because one person's rights might be infringed. See, okay, you're wrong. Every single time firearm legislation is introduced, Republicans vote against it. With the exception of the assault weapons ban. That actually worked. But no, we can't do that. We're just going to let kids die. You don't care about the data. You don't care about any of it. You're going to look to blame everything but the actual proof of why we have this problem. If you want to say it's mental health, then invest in mental health. If you want to say you're the party that cares about crime, then why are the National Guard not going into red states? If you want to say it's about public safety, then why are you not protecting kids? Because all you care about is more guns. Let's arm teachers. You don't want to pay fucking teachers. You expect teachers to buy their own fucking pencils. And now you want them strapped? Literally, you don't give a fuck about schools. You don't care. You don't care. You don't give a shit. You want to blame the Department of Education? That, by the way, because last time I checked, there are conservative children in this country who are on IEPs, who can benefit from special needs programs. And you cheered it on when those programs are going to get cut. And then who are you going to blame then? You don't give a fuck about kids. We said the same thing. I said it yesterday and I'll say it again. People on the left, because it's not both sides, people on the left, we care more about your children than you do. We care more about your future than you do. We care more about your opportunities for employment than you do. We care more about your chance for a better life than you do. We care more about your retirement. We care more about your health. We care more about your welfare. We care more about your safety than you do. And you can't accept it. For years, you ran on bullshit rhetoric about defunding the police. It's the Republicans who do it. They legislate community policing programs away. They cut funding for services related to criminal justice to increase ICE's budget. You don't care about your communities. You don't. You do not care. You've been told to believe that immigrants are the threat. I've got some more stats for you. Nobody should be surprised by this at all. In the U.S. Secret Service study of targeted K-12 school violence between 2008 and 2017, 83% of the attackers were male, 65% were white, 15% black, 5% Hispanic, the rest considered other. Why are you rolling tanks through marginalized areas and cities? Why are you calling out cities that have large black populations? You don't care about crime. You don't give a flying fuck. You do not care about crime because you can live in your blanket of bigotry and white supremacy. You don't care. No, Smiling, you're wrong. You are wrong. And I just proved it to you based on your favorite thing, the one big, beautiful bill. Look at Project 2025 and then come back to me. Somebody's saying something that you claim the Republican Democrats said. A few far left Democrats said that, for sure, no doubt about it. But who actually did it? Your side did it. Your side did it. You're the ones who actually did it. You're the one that removed community resources from communities. I wonder why. You're the ones that are cutting mental health services. I wonder why that is. I wonder why that is. Yeah, saying it. Larry, listen. You've got a few videos of a few people saying it. Who actually did it? I can sit here and say all kinds of things. The question is, who actually did it? It's your party that did it. It's not both sides. It's never been both sides. You're right. Good call, RJ. Good call. I am so, it's not even, again, like I said, the rage is just right below the surface. It's just right there. It's like right below the surface because of people like Larry, because of people like that. Who actually did it? Who actually cut Medicaid, Medicare? Who actually is going after to privatize Social Security? Who's actually cutting SNAP benefits? Who's actually getting the most money, 99% of money from the NRA? Who's actually committing the most crimes? What states are the poorest? What states are the most uneducated? What states are the most unhealthy? It's not both sides. It's you fuckers. Conservatives have always been the problem, and they always will. Any systemic and aggressive change, whether it be about rights, expansion of rights, whether it be about civil rights, whether it be rights for marginalized groups, always comes from progressives. Always. Always. Just by definition, progressives want progress. What do you fuckers want? Keep things the same or to go backwards? You're sitting in your circles today calling out this person who committed this atrocity for how they identify. You fuckers don't give a shit about any of it. You don't care about kids. You're cheering it on. You don't care. Those children, 8 and 10 years old, were killed thinking and praying.
Hey, how's it going, brother?
Hey, bro. Everybody, can we all just send Brett just all the fucking love in the world? Thanks for doing this. I'm sure you got a lot on your plate today, buddy. I'm glad you're here.
Oh, absolutely.
The floor is yours. The floor is yours.
I mean, it's just, I was listening to you on the way to drop off my kids and everything, you know, and listening to all the stats and everything. We know the stats. We look into these things and we figure it out. And then, you know, it came to me. It's like, why don't they care? You know, like we were talking about this last night on My Life. What's it going to take? Like truly. And we had people tossing around ideas. You know, some people were like, you know, this is going to be, they're only going to care when it happens to them. But I don't even think that. And I don't want that to happen to them. I don't want their children to lose their lives because of their inactions and their, you know, their culpability and all of this. What's it truly going to take? Children being mowed down in schools? Not enough. Children being mowed down in churches? Still not enough. And I think you said it perfectly earlier, right? When are we supposed to talk about it? It's been 3 years since Uzi was taken from us, and they still tell us now's not the time to talk about it. So when is? If we wait too long, then another one happens, and it isn't even too long. I'm sure we'll hear about another one of these today or tomorrow or the next day, over and over and over and over and over, because people just do not care. And people are more worried about my right to guns instead of people's rights to life. I'm sorry, but a piece of metal that was designed that's doing what it was intended for is not more important than anything. It's not more important than my kids. It's not more important than your kids or any kids in here. It's not more important than the people that are going to be running their mouths in the comments saying, "Oh, my Second Amendment." It's not more important than their kids, but they don't seem to understand that. We as a people have to honestly decide what is the most important. And I'm sorry, but like, it's the kids. It's always the kids.
Should be.
Yeah.
It should be.
To, sensible individuals, 100%.
We've talked about this before, and you said, like, what's the solution? When will they finally come to terms with this? And like I say here a lot, it's follow the money. When you've got millions of dollars, 99% of it going to Republicans from the NRA and from the gun lobby and from the firearms industry, when that money dries up, then they're going to be put on the spot. Now we know why they continue to vote against responsible firearm legislation, because they can't, because they lose millions of dollars. So we get money out of politics. We ban things like Citizens United, shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
But here's the problem. Those same people that are taking that money will never vote against it. Ever.
No, because they've made too much money off of it. And imagine that.
Correct.
Imagine like that. Like, Steve, what is your price when it comes to kids? Like, what is the price that would make you turn a blind eye to everything?
There is no price.
One. Exactly. So we keep voting in individuals that put prices on children. It is crazy. And there are people that willingly and openly do this. Literally, I had somebody last night, we were talking about this, and I'm glad that you brought it up. They said, Ted Cruz cares about mental health. Ted Cruz cares about the money that's going into his pocket. That's what he cares about.
Number one every year. I'm sure you know that. He's the top of the list every single year for money from the gun lobby.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, these are the individuals that you want, quote unquote, in charge. Like, it's crazy. Like,
and
100%.
and I know you know this, but that's why we have to talk about these things. Like, I don't want to make this issue political, but it is, sadly, which is why we have these conversations about these illegal gerrymandering and this redistricting shit. Because again, Republicans have proven time and time again, conservatives, I want to make it very clear, but Republicans, modern day Republicans, are got every opportunity they get to vote in support of responsible firearm legislation. They won't do it. They won't do it. They won't vote for progress. They won't vote for expanded access to mental health care. They won't support responsible firearm legislation. What's the number, Brett? Like 75% of Americans believe in some form of responsible firearm legislation, including Republicans, independents, and Democrats. Isn't that the number? Like 75%? Something like that?
Sir. Yes, sir.
It's crazy. That covers all political identities, so that even the majority of Republicans believe it too. But they can't allow that to happen because they lose that bloodthirsty MAGA supporter, first of all, who doesn't even know the history of the 2A, and they're told it's everything else other than the gun. And I'm a gun owner. Brett and I've talked about this. I respect a person's right to own. I get it. I'd give it up in a fucking second without any question if it meant I could save one kid's life. I wouldn't even think about it. But they won't. They won't. No way. Why? Because they're afraid of a tyrannical government? Where the fuck are they now? Where are those fucking libertarians now that don't want big government in their face? Where the fuck are they? Why are they not rising up against a tyrannical government? Because they were fucking lied to too, and they've been lying to themselves. They don't give a shit. They don't care. They don't, because they're afraid of everything. They're afraid of brown people. They're afraid of the LGBTQIA community. They're afraid of education. Brett, they're afraid of fucking books.
Oh, yeah.
They're afraid of paper masks and flags.
Well, and to your point, that's the craziest thing, right? Is the same people, because I get this argument all the time. The guns don't unalive people, right? People unalive people are the same people that say that books make you gay. Make it make sense. It's the same people.
It's a really good point. It's a really good point.
Like, so which one is it, right? Like you can't have it both ways.
Nope. Is your charity still up?
Yeah, 100%.
I have the link. It's in my bio. You want to talk about Rise for You a little bit about, what it is and what it does and how people can consider contributing?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you. So for those that don't know, my son Uzziah was one of the victims of the Uvalde mass school unaliving 3 years ago. And, since then, we have been fighting for common sense firearm reform. A lot of people get that confused with let's take everything away. Now, I wouldn't be sad if they did, but that's not what we advocate for. We advocate for just common sense firearm reform. Things such as assault weapons ban, universal background checks, red flag laws, safe storage laws, things to those degrees. Things that we know and we have seen in the past that have actually worked. When you look at the assault weapons ban of 94, there was a 70% decrease in mass shootings, followed by an uptick of 180% when the bill sunset. When we look at the states that have things such as safe storage and universal background checks, we see that they have a lower firearm death rate than the states that don't. All of these things, we have the factual evidence behind it. So that is what we advocate for. And we also advocate for getting into people's faces and fighting. We primarily do firearm violence, but we also stand up with our LGBTQ brothers and sisters. We also stand up with our BIPOC brothers and sisters because, one thing that every sort of group has in common is that they are overwhelmingly taken out by firearms.
Usually in the hands of white men.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Most DV cases where somebody is unalived, firearms. Most times when there's a hate crime against our BIPOC citizens or LGBTQ citizens, it is firearms. Firearms are the one things that tie everything together, and we are losing our lives because of them. So that is what we advocate for. If you want to learn more, you can go to riseforyou.net. It tells you more about Uzziah, which is, the reason why we do this, right? Because I was
the link is in the link. The link is in the link tree in my bio, friends, if you're looking for it. Sorry, Brett, go ahead.
I was one of those people. I was born and raised in Texas, right? Texas, where this will never happen because all the good guys with the guns, that would never happen until it does. And then you have to realize when you look into the numbers and everything that the good guy with a gun stops the bad guy with one less than 1% of the time. But yet firearms are the number one unaliver of children. So those numbers aren't comparable at all.
In your travels, Brett, and I know you speak to a lot of people, and I first of all, Brett and I become friends, so it's personal to me. He's the first person that I thought about yesterday, and I texted him and I said, "Hey, if you want my space, it's yours." And but you do this work. I mean, you and Nikki, make sure that she gets the credit too. You do this work, and you're out there, and we know why you do it. None of us, and I'm sure you would agree, none of us would ever. We don't want to do the work that you do. You know what I mean? We don't want to do it because we don't want any of the horrible thing that happened to you. There's nothing worse in my opinion, but you do it every day. You do it every day and you are calling it out. And do you feel like you have made any progress?
Absolutely. So that's a two-part answer. So with politicians, it's hard. We have, especially in Texas, 2 years ago when Texas was in session, we had two Republicans flip. Two Republicans that had been paid by the NRA to flip and to push for raising the age to purchase an assault weapon until 21, which doesn't seem like much to most people, but that was a giant step, especially in Texas. But mostly I see the change in people. I do talk about this every day. I've had people come up who were initially just the biggest oppositions and now have turned into friends, who agree, who went, because here's what I say. Don't just take what I say and just believe it. I don't want anybody to just believe anybody for any reason, right?
Agreed.
Take the sources that I give you, take the information, and do the research yourself. And if I'm lying, call me out on it. But I'm not, right? So when you get the resources, when you get the stats, when you get the facts and everything, and you can see it with your own eyes and you can put it together, then that's when people's minds start to change. And I think that within the gun violence prevention community and everything, I'm the only person that talks to citizens every single day. I don't, like, I am completely self-funded. Like, every single dollar that I make goes into this, goes into the trips to DC, to the Capitol and everything like that. But I'm the only person that doesn't put all of that onto talking to the politicians that are bought out, because I don't have money to buy out politicians.
Correct.
But what I do have is a voice and a fight and a will and a fire that is lit within me because of Uzziah, that can talk to everyday people. And if
everybody keep tapping and sharing the live, please. Sorry, Brett, go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. And if the main thing is that we need to vote people in that care about us. We need to vote people out that give that care more about firearms than they do children.
It's such a good point, and I know you've talked about this, and you and I have discussed this in the long game perspective, because what we've been asking for, you've been asking for, those of us that believe in responsible firearm legislation, has been compromised. Like, meet us here. We're looking for solutions. We're looking for universal background checks. We're looking for red flag laws. We're looking for safe storage laws to register, things like that seem to be compromising, not infringing, compromising. Because if in the conservatives and the gun lobby and elected Republicans now, again, because it's not both sides, they're unwilling to do that. So what's going to happen is that children who've grown up in the era of school shootings and active shooter drills are going to run for office as progressives, and they're going to just tear up the two-way, and they're going to introduce a constitutional amendment to change the law, because the right and the conservative and the gun lobby and those people that have been supporting it are unwilling to compromise. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. So this is their window, and they just won't do it.
No, exactly, to your point. Not just that, they don't even, like you said, we've spoken about this in depth, and that's what's going to happen. But I was thinking about the other day, they don't even have to do that. We just have to get 2 or 3 on the on SCOTUS, because it wasn't until 2008 that it was an individual right. Every single Supreme Court ruling about the Second Amendment prior to 2008 was about a militia's right, not an individual's right. This is new. This is new territory, and we've seen the numbers of deaths spike since 2008 per firearms, because it was deemed an individual right. So, like you said, exactly, this is the let's meet in the middle. You keep your firearms, but, do a background check. You're not going to be able to go to a gun show and just buy it off the table with no problems. Let's introduce the red flag laws to where if you're a threat to yourself or to others, let's take them away until you are no longer a threat to yourself or to others, because that happens a lot, right? I mean, I remember there's been numerous dark times in my past where I probably shouldn't have had one. And luckily I didn't. But now, it's one of those things.
Yeah, and then the argument always comes around to mental health, and we talked about this earlier, Brett. What we agree. Absolutely, we agree. We have a mental health crisis in our country. Okay, conservatives, let's fund universal health care or let's expand access to mental health care. No, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
And that's the thing. That's the thing too, though, right? They use the mental health as a boogeyman, because if they do something about the mental health and not anything about the guns, these things will still happen 100%, because we are on par with the rest of our peer nations as far as it goes with mental health. The only thing that is different from countries in the UK or anything who haven't had a school shooting since 1996, by the way, is the access to these guns. But I agree. Let's fund it. Let's fund universal health care, mental health care. Let's do all of the things. Let's do it. But the problem is that, and I ask people this all the time, what our government doesn't care unless it saves money and puts it back into their pockets, right? So what is going to be the most cost efficient? Mental health for everyone, or just regulating firearms? Which one can be implemented directly, like instituted today?
Okay. It's a really good point. Like immediately, it is. It's
exactly. And we can do that while we build up the mental health system, while we fund the mental health system, while we get all of those ducks in a row, while we're building the buildings, while we're educating the people to become the professionals, while we're, doing all of those things. We can already have something in place that takes care of the majority of these things. Because we see that even though, like you and I, we're all for mental health. When you look at the stats, you see that people that are in mental health crisis or have some sort of mental illness are 11 times more likely to be the victim than the actual perpetrator of these crimes. So yes, let's do both. But let's implement the common sense firearm reform as a not just a safety net, but as a way to let's lower these numbers while we introduce everything else.
I know that you're an open book when you talk about this kind of stuff. So when you hear people on the topic of hardening schools and or hardening churches or hardening shopping malls or whatever it might be, where do you go with that, Brett?
Well, here's the thing that I always say, right? Our solution, the solution that everybody wants to do, is just add more guns to the mix. Because at this time, I believe it's 1.25 guns per person in this country. So that's over
that we know of, right?
Yeah.
That we know of.
Absolutely. And if that's the case, if adding more guns to the mix saved lives and made us safe, we'd be the safest country in this whole fucking planet.
Correct.
But we're not. So obviously adding more guns to the mix doesn't work, because the more guns you add to the mix, the more the risk multiplies of somebody being shot, period, point blank. Whether it is, no matter who it is, we're adding the chance for more people to have their life taken away. So why, instead of let's adding more violent measures, why don't we remove and mitigate the violence so that we don't have to worry about that? Our children should not have to go to school and go to what is essentially a prison with armed guards. I mean,
Agreed.
The food's already shit. So why are we gonna, why are we gonna make it easier for them to fall into that prison pipeline already? Because that's what they're doing. We're adding armed guards. Kids shouldn't have to go to school and learn 2 + 2 = 4 right next to a fucking police issued Glock. Like, they shouldn't have to. Teachers shouldn't have to be armed, because like we say all the time, the state doesn't even pay the teachers their personal salary. They're paid shit.
Exactly.
They have to buy their own pencils and markers and fucking ABC fucking
blocks and shit. Yeah.
Decor.
Yeah.
But we want to tell them, get a firearm as well, get the ammo. We don't even know if they're wanting them to get safe storage and everything. And not trained at all. They just want people to be armed. Like, it's so wild to me.
There was a school district, I'm not sure, it might have been Texas. I apologize if it's not, but there was a lunch lady who got fired because she was paying a kid's lunch who couldn't afford it. She lost her job because she was taking money out of her pocket to pay for a kid. And their argument was, if you're going to do that for one, you got to do it for everybody. That tells you, in my opinion, everything that you need to know. And I can guarantee you, it wasn't a progressive that said that. I can guarantee you it wasn't some woke liberal who said that. It was likely a conservative, likely a Republican. The same people who care so much about kids, who feel like it's an injustice, a grave injustice for children to fucking eat. To eat. I believe that every human being on planet Earth deserves health care, food, water, and shelter. Call me a fucking radical.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know what? What's crazy is just like, if you think about it, it sounds like you're the one that's actually like you and I, we're the ones that are actually pro-life. We want children to be able to live, to succeed, to grow old and everything. It almost seems like the pro-life crowd are just pro-birth, pro-control, because the
Correct.
same pro-life individuals fight for more guns. So, and we know that guns are the number one killer of children. So that's not very pro-life. They vote against mental health care and everything. That's not very pro-life. They're
Correct.
against universal health care. They're against a 3-year-old child getting, being able to go to the doctor. They're against that. So that's funny that the pro-life crowd are not pro-life, and the people that aren't pro-life are the ones that are actually pro-life. Make it make sense.
It doesn't. It doesn't. I know you probably got a lot going on today. Anything else that you'd like to share, bro, while you're here?
Most importantly is just hug your kids. I say it all the time. You never know when that last hug's going to come. You spend the extra time with them. Put off the work, put off the stressors and everything like that, because you might not get that chance again. It's been over 3 years since I got to hug Uzziah, and I wish every day that I would have hugged him before he went to school that day, and I didn't get to. So just hug your kids, fight for your kids, fight for other people's kids, and do what is right, because it doesn't cost anything to be a good person. It doesn't cost anything to use your voice, to stand up for our children. And it doesn't cost anything to call your representatives to fight in different ways, because at this point, all we're going to get from these politicians are thoughts and prayers. That's all they ever want to give us. But hell, those 2 babies yesterday, 8 and 10 years old, they were doing what the politicians said would save them. They were literally praying, and that didn't stop it. The only thing that can stop it is common sense firearm reform, is putting our children first. That is the only thing that can, not the thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers without action is just complicity. It's just saying I don't care enough to do something about it.
And one more plug, it's rise4u.net, that you can find the link, friends, in my link tree. And I'm sure Brett has it on his page. You know how much I care about you and Nikki and your entire family. I know it's never an easy day for you, but thank you for spending some time with us this morning, my friend. I love you, brother.
Absolutely love you, brother.
Talk to you later. That's real. I see coverage yesterday. I'm watching it last night, and they're talking about, Sandy Hook. They talk about Columbine. And they talk about Uvalde. And I'm like, I know a dad. He's my friend. He's my friend who I love, who lost his kid in that school. I see the Chiron roll across the bottom of the page. Uvalde, Texas. I'm like, fuck. I know that guy. He's my friend. I just listen to him talk, and I'm just like, I don't know if I could ever have the courage that he has. Every single day, he wakes up with that horrible thought in his head every single day. And he gets in this space, or he goes in other places, and he's doing the work. And he's just fighting for people. Just to remind people, we're talking about saving one life. One life. Just one. We've all got to know Brett. I wish I never knew him. I should not know Brett Cross and his beautiful wife. I should not know them. We should not know them. We shouldn't know who they are. They should be living their life, doing their thing, raising their kids. We should not know them. And we do. Because his kid was murdered in a school. Every day. I'm just going to do this a second so I can collect myself a little bit.
TikTok. It is our intention during these live broadcasts to only provide fact-based information to the absolute best of our ability. We strive to never spread misinformation or to platform those that do. Opinions of our guests or commenters are theirs and theirs alone and do not reflect those of the host. Hate speech is not allowed, and we are diligent about policing it. This platform is for educational purposes only.
It needs to hurt, folks. It has to. It has to. It's got to cause your heart to ache so much that it motivates you to do something. It's got to hurt. We've got to feel it. We've got to feel it. We got to channel our friend. We got to channel Brett and Nikki's because we know them. But they're like thousands of other families in our country that have been touched by this. They are the face of all those people. We know them. We've talked to them. I've shared laughter with Brett. We've been in spaces together. We've talked on the phone. We've texted back and forth. He's my friend. I love that dude. And people in our country don't fucking care. There are kids. They're children. The greatest gift we all have in our life, for those of us who have them, there's nothing more important. Nothing. The same people, like we say it jokingly, take a bullet for your kid. There's no doubt about it. Throw yourself in front of a bus for your kid. I don't even think twice. Most of us do. I've had conversations with hardcore two-way activists. And I've asked them that question. Would you give up your rights to your firearms if it meant saving your own kid's life? They think about it. They think about it. I'm good, mods. Thank you, guys. It just hurts so much. And I'm tired of it hurting. I'm just tired of it. It doesn't have to be like this. It just doesn't. This is not what it is who we become, but it's not who we should be. I'm so fucking tired of excuse after excuse after excuse. And Brett said it well. 3 years later, after they lose Uzi, and we still can't talk about it? When the fuck do we? When do we? When are we going to see change? When? You cannot rely on your elected officials. And again, like I said, it's not both sides. Now we can certainly demand more aggression and more energy from elected Democrats, but 99.6% of the money from the gun lobby goes to Republicans. Millions of dollars. Millions of dollars are funding Republican campaigns, helping them to get elected, and they're voting against responsible firearm legislation. Make it make sense. Every conservative in here, whether you're MAGA or not, your taxpayer dollars are going to lobbyists and electing Republicans who are voting against protecting your kids in your schools. And your solution, to Brett's point, your solution is to arm teachers. And you say it like it's no big deal. You say it like it's no big deal. You don't want to feed kids. Again, there's 100 people. Liberals, leftists, progressive, we want to guarantee that everybody eats. We want to make sure that even one of the 100 is guaranteed food, shelter, water, healthcare. Conservatives, you won't fund any of it because you're afraid one person may not deserve it. Am I wrong about that? Think about it. We see it. Remember what Joe Biden said? Don't tell me what your values are. Show me your budget. It is just mind-boggling to me that the same fucking people who stand up here, he's absolutely right, the same people who stand in these spaces and say that they are pro-life, you don't give a fuck about life because most of you are support the death penalty. I don't. Never have. Most of you support that because you don't want to solve problems. You want to militarize our cities. You don't want to address crime. You don't want to address mental health care. You don't want to address poverty. Why? Because you're told if you do any of those things, that's going to benefit black people. That's going to benefit brown people. That's going to benefit women. That's going to benefit members of the LGBTQIA community. The biggest threat to America, are white, cis, hetero men. Full stop. Look who you vote for. Full stop. White, cis, hetero men commit the most crimes, have the most incidents of violence, the most incidents of assault, the most incidents of domestic violence, etc. Full stop. Every fucking data point, every single one of them points to that. Every one. Everyone. It's all men until it's no men. It's all white people until it's none. Every fucking time we ask democracy to be saved, it's always black women who step up. And they're part of the groups that are under threat the most. Where the fuck are we? Where are we? Where are we? Conservatives, always been the problem. Every time or any chance, at any opportunity in our nation's history, when we've moved the needle for progress, it's always been from progressives. Always. Always. Any form of civil rights legislation, any improvement on our society, whether it be social programs, whether it be infrastructure, whatever it might be, always comes from progressives. Every single opportunity that we get to move the needle forward, what do we get? We get roadblocks. We get excuses. We get somebody else to blame. Someone else to blame. I'm not going to talk about the shooter. I'm not interested. I'm going to talk about a 5-year-old kid whose friend jumped on top of him to save his life and took a bullet in the back. Teachers losing their lives protecting their kids. Where it fucking hurts. It really hurts. It's the first week of school for so many families across the country. So many families. It's the first week of school. Something you should be celebrating. I talked about this earlier this week, right? About how this was my last first day of school. And what a great moment it was. It's always in the back of my head, though. It's always in the back of my head. It's always in the back of my head. And I feel like some communities still live under this impression that it can't happen here. Those children children 8 and 10 years old were thinking and praying. And they lost their lives. My daughter's school, although the doors are locked, they're glass doors. They're glass doors. They have open air classrooms where there's no door. We've been on it. I've been going to school board meetings for years. And finally, this year, her last year, my boys went through the same school. This year, they finally had built walls with doors in classrooms. It took 12 years for me being a pain in the fucking ass of the school board. It's not just me. It's a lot of community members. But there were people even in our community saying, that seems like a big expense item. And I'm like, I'm sorry, an expense item? Tell you what, well, how about we forego new soccer nets for the year and build fucking walls around our children to protect them? It happens everywhere. I see that. People buying their kids bulletproof backpacks. And the right wants to say we should be arming teachers. Arming teachers? You want to put firearms in the hands of teachers? Teachers potentially faced with the prospect of having to point a gun at a student that they used to teach? Really? Really?
Hi, Fred.
Hi, Olive.
So being someone who has grown up in the generation where school unalivings were very prominent, and this is where people will quote unquote say this is where it became normalized. And being a teacher who has not only sat through these drills with special needs kids, I've been out of work for a little bit due to an infection, but yesterday I got an email and a text message that the daycare center that I worked at was under a threat. They're not stopping at schools. We saw they were doing it at daycares in California and in Florida. I need people to fully understand that at this point in time, being numb to the situation and being, absolutely furious about it is absolutely needed, but there is no action that is currently going on. I need people to openly scream at the top of their lungs because at this point in time, specifically with special needs educators, with the fact that in the administration, they are cutting funds for 504s and IEPs. My school board just cut all the funding for IEPs and 504. So our students can't even get the assistance that they need to begin with. And now to know the fact that there have been hoaxes, there has been multiple hoaxes surrounding multiple different universities. And now to the point where there are the most, like you said, Steve, the heartbreaking thing was to hear that older students were protecting younger students. Being someone who has lost their best friend at MSU while she was going to school, being someone who has actively gone through these drills on a regular fucking basis, I don't understand why people aren't screaming and actually going out more. I don't understand it. Making the decision of an educator to step in front of that bullet because it was either her or her students is something I hope no one else has to ever think about. I don't want to have to sit here and think about the idea like, me at my age of 23, I'm going to protect every single one of my kids. But I shouldn't do this. My student debt isn't in security forces. My student debt is in special need education. These teachers took time and money to get their degrees. And here we are expecting our teachers to openly be the security guard for our students. I don't get it. I absolutely don't get it. Do we just like teachers who are sick of it? Maybe we're not, strong enough to do. I don't know what to do. I absolutely don't know what to do.
It used to be, and I'm sure you would agree, Olive. Thank you. You know how much I love you. Because of the assaults on public education from conservatives in our country, because they're afraid of books and other things, the profession that I just cherish. You all know how I feel about teachers. I cherish that profession. I cherish it. People, the recruiting and people wanting to go into your profession, we've seen the numbers drop over year over year over year. So conservatives get their way. They get PragerU education. They get Moms of Liberty education. They get Ryan Walters education. That's what's at stake. That is what's at stake. There's no focus on what really, really would make a difference in our society. Because it's all related, in my opinion. It's just all related to what we're talking about today. You provide resources for people so they can grow up to critically think, to understand what's at stake, what it is that they're voting for or voting against, and then how, as a society, we can become healthier. We have access to mental health care. We have access to treatment plans. We have resources for substance use disorder. It doesn't exist here because our country prioritizes money and billionaires. And the people that are at the bottom rung of the food chain, the marginalized communities, and the poor people in rural areas in red states who are getting ripped off every single fucking day are the ones out there clamoring for change and yet voting against it. Makes no sense.
It's, and the other part too that makes me extremely furious, right? We all know what happened in DC last week. We all saw, or this week, so I forget, my days are all combined with Jay being arrested for burning the US flag, right? And we were talking about how people aren't upset about, people losing their ability to use the First Amendment. But the second we want to talk about common sense firearm legislation, the second we talk about anything with the Second Amendment, their panties come in a bunch. When you can't even tell me what everything in the Second Amendment stands for, and you can't dissect it and explain it to me and not comprehend the fact that this isn't about your fucking firearms, not about your inanimate objects, I don't understand. I will never understand why a group of people won't look at the firearms, seeing the statistics about how it's the number one unaliver of children, and won't give up their firearms. I will never understand it. You are 100% okay giving up your First Amendment, but you won't get rid of your Second Amendment. You wouldn't have the Second Amendment if it wasn't for your First fucking Amendment. I can't comprehend it. And it's just like, childcare in general, including daycares, nannies, whomever, has such a high overturn rate, especially in teachers. Being someone who has worked in 2 separate daycares, being someone who has known teachers who constantly switch back and forth because either they don't get enough support. Example, right? Where I used to work in Virginia, I was a full-time teacher. I was actually getting benefits. I was getting healthcare. Moving to Tennessee and where I work now, full-time, I don't get healthcare. I don't get mental health care. I barely get paid enough. I get paid $17 an hour to deal with 16 kids at once. All of them are on the spectrum, and I don't have assistance. I don't get help. So what do you expect me to do? Like, it makes no sense. The fact that not every state wants to respect the teachers or their daycare workers, the fact that they don't want to have their children succeed in life because they would rather them stay dumb and be easily manipulated is fucking wild to me. Like, if you would pay our teachers like you would pay our fucking representatives and senators, imagine the education. Imagine how much better the world would be if you would overfund the Department of Education the same way you overfund the fucking Department of Defense. Imagine where we would be. Instead, we have a man in office with a fucking, she was a wrestler or whoever the fuck Linda McMahon was, sitting in the Department of Education, cutting these fundings, cutting these abilities for students to continue to succeed. But you want to make an offensive department for our military. Make that shit make sense while you continue to demonize them, throwing them on our streets of citizen streets, make them become the police force, and you continue to demonize these military personnel that you keep in your fucking mouths. I don't get it.
You do get it, though, Olive. That's the point. That's the problem. You do get it.
I know. It's just...
You do get it.
I have this conversation all the time with Manny. I don't want to believe that half of the Americans are this negligent, this ignorant, this bigoted, but every single time, whether it's in person or whether it's on this fucking app, I figure out that people who look like me, people who came from where I came from, the cottage cheese complexion individuals, specifically women, are always one of the biggest issues that causes the problems that continues to hurt other minority groups. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm an angry 23-year-old, not only just at the government, but at the fact that the country that I thought I was growing up in isn't the country at all. And there are too many people, specifically in my age group, that doesn't want to get involved, doesn't want to move things forward. And here I am, like, what the fuck are we doing? There's 1.2K people in here. If there's anyone in the Gen Z generation, what the fuck are you doing? You're not doing anything beneficial. People need to stop saying Gen Z is going to save the world. We're not. We're fucking lazy. Not me, but everyone else surrounding my age group is fucking lazy.
Getting red pilled too, as you know.
Yes, red pilled, actively.
Deep breath.
It's just, again, this stuff is, I absolutely love what I do. I absolutely love the community that you have built, that I've been a part of. I'm extremely happy for the community that I have and is continuing to build. But at the end of the day, like, sometimes it feels like you're kicking an unalived horse. Sometimes it feels like when I have these conversations, there's no progression forward. And here we are sitting here doing, trying to figure out our next steps, but yet we can't get to the next day because every single time we try to go forward and figure out for the 2026 midterm election, we're stuck. We're stuck. There is going to be no tomorrow unless we focus on what we're going to do next. There is no steps books. The conversation, and I don't know if you'll agree with this, Steve, the Democratic Party or the umbrella of the Democrat left-leaning individuals is so diverse that it's so difficult to come up with an idea that's going to benefit us all. And I think there are so many people, specifically in my age group, that feel like if you give up a little, you give up it all. Where
Correct.
People need to understand giving up a little doesn't mean you're giving it up all. Just because you want X, Y, and Z to happen, that's not reality at this moment. Like,
I do agree. It's the pearl clutching that we see often on the left. I talked about this a little bit yesterday. Think about what we have today. The right is galvanized around a narcissistic madman who's delusional, and they are all in. Now, the advantages and disadvantages of a big tent, we're going to talk about them right now. The advantages of a big tent on the left would mean that you've got a lot of voices, a lot of people from all walks of life. That also leads to problems when each one of those segments doesn't get exactly what they want. And that becomes entitlement on the left. I am imploring people who vote on the left, whether you are a leftist, progressive, status quo Democrat, moderate, to get in fucking line. No matter who the candidate is, fucking vote for them. If you've ever watched my show over the last 3 years, I am pleading with you. Just fucking do it. Stop the goddamn pearl clutching. Stop the goddamn quest for perfection, because you're never going to find it in politics. Just fucking do it. Do it. It's not hard. Just do it.
You remember that docs that Manny and I made, the one about the 2026 seats that are needed and stuff like that? I'm in a So we've been working on that a little bit more, and he's been looking at more seats that are up and available, and I've been looking at candidates and looking into the candidates and see who we need to do. I want to do a roundtable discussion about this, and I was curious if you'd want to be available for it.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
That took a lot.
I want to have this conversation because, again, the next steps are vital, not even just in the sense of human rights and civil rights and stuff like, but as simple as being able to start from the ground level and move forward. I want to have this ground circle.
Did you see Obi's comment when he said spreadsheet in all caps when you mentioned it? Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, exactly.
I've been learning a lot about Excel. I mean, I have the Google Excel is different from the Microsoft Excel. Manny won't agree with me, but I think it's different.
I agree with you.
Thank you. And so we've
let Manny and Obi do their own thing. You and I will talk about reality. Gotcha.
Perfect. But again, I really want the 1.3K people not only to continue to tap the screen and share the live and stuff like that, but I really want every single person in here to sit and think for a second. We continue to have things hit us, and that is extremely valid to live in that moment and feel that pain. But the thing we still have to continue to move forward is the sole fact that 2026 is around the corner, and you cannot tell me we can't focus on our midterm elections to at least get some kind of buffer movement. And once we have that buffer movement, whomever the Democratic nominee is, regardless of who the fuck it is, I'm only here for damage control and trying to fix things before we continue to progress forward, because we can't progress forward when there's a fucking fascist in the White House.
Preach.
All right.
I love you. I love you, my friend. Feel better, okay?
I'm trying. I'll be here.
I'll talk to you later. Right. Again, we're on this topic today because it's obviously the news of the day, but I just implore, I've tried to be consistent. Like I've told you that I don't appreciate conservatives, and there are conservatives in the Democratic Party as well. Okay. Joe Biden is a conservative. I voted for Joe Biden, not because they thought he was the perfect candidate, but because I knew what we were voting against. Sometimes your vote is for harm reduction. Let's be real about that. I'm imploring you. You guys know me. I'm a progressive. There's not a lot of people that are further left than me. Obi is. There's not a lot. There's really not a lot of people that are further left than I am. But I'm telling you right now, if you do leftists, far left leftists, if you don't step up and stop with the purity test, then we're going to get more of this. You've got to be fighting for the things that you say you care about. And you can't do that if you sit it out. You can't. You just can't. And I don't know how we can implore you to think about that when you're going through this exercise. Good morning, my brother. How are you today?
Hello there.
Well, I guess it's another day that ends in Y.
Yeah, exactly.
So last night we're providing armed security for a charity event. I want you to think about that statement. Armed security for a charity event. This is what we've gotten to, right? And you know what? As we're standing there, and we're obviously everywhere. We're up front, we're in the middle, we're behind, we're walking around in circles, right? People were coming up to us and saying, thank you for being here, but I don't know if it makes me feel safe.
I think that's a fair assessment, right?
Right?
Sadly.
Right? But like, thank you, because at least there's something. And what I want to try to explain to MAGA, who, by the way, we've been muting and blocking all morning. It's been very exciting for me.
I know. And thank you, chat, for eating. I appreciate y'all very much.
Yes. And mods, thank you for being a part of the muting and blocking party. You guys are fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
One of the things that we know, for those of us that do what I've been training for the last year and training at some of the highest levels available for civilians, and most of us are former combat vets, we really can't do much. There really isn't much we can do, right? We can be a presence. We can be that first line of defense, right? We can try to do something, but we shouldn't have to be there. That's the point, right? Now, there's always been armed security guards. That just always has been, right? But typically it was for things like armored vehicles because money, right? Like that made a little more
or
sense.
diplomats or whatever
Or
it might be,
diplomats.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
But now we're doing charity events, right? Protecting certain types of schools. On Sunday, there is an author coming who has had threats against their life. And so I'm going to be standing next to this author as they sign books at a bookstore. Why is that necessary? It's not, right? So when you mentioned books, I was like, yeah, they're literally afraid of books. But to Brett's point, if you have to ask them, and I've been on his live when he's asked that question, and there's that pause. There's that pause.
Exactly.
Why is there a pause? Right? I shouldn't have to do what I'm volunteering to do. And by the way, I do not get paid for this. This is all volunteer. All of the time and money that I have spent in the last year is as a volunteer. Because somebody had to step up in my community. And that's what we as a community have decided to do, is that we were going to train and do this to protect our people. And that's it. Right? Yeah, exactly. But they're afraid of Luigi. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Great fucking point. Right?
Great point. That's why you're the smartest chat on TikTok. They're right there.
Yeah, I fucking that. First of all, when your dad and brother is named Luigi, it always does kind of make me wince because I'm like, God damn it.
Right.
They don't get it. They won't get it. And you asked a question that I love you because you ask this question all the time, like, where's the line? What's it going to take? And there is no line. Nothing is going to make a difference because they are literally, and I mean this 10 toes down, they are brainwashed.
Yeah.
The largest psyop in the world was convincing white Christian males that they were the actual victims. And that's been going on since the Crusades. Hundreds of years of indoctrination and brainwashing, teaching young white Christian men that they are a victim and things are to be feared, right? There's a single race on the planet Earth. You are either a Homo sapien sapien or you are not. The modern concept of race, where they divide people into melanin, is because of the Portuguese, because they wanted to other people, because they wanted to separate people, because they wanted to categorize people and create a caste system. And hey, people on the left, every single time you talk about race and the words that come out of your mouth aren't Homo sapien sapien, you continue to be a part of the problem. Race is not defined by the color of someone's skin. There is a single race, the human race. Stop being a part of the problem. Stop having a litmus test. Stop. You heard Olive. She's right. Gen Z did not fucking vote. They had a chance to do something, and they fucking stayed home. They absolutely stayed home. How do we know? Because we know how many registered voters they are, and we know what category that they're in, right? Because that's how data works, right? The stat about if you remove the most populous cities, how was it 8 of the 10 worst crime states are still red states?
Correct. No matter how you slice it, whether you remove the largest cities or not, they're still the same states.
Right. So what does that tell us? What that tells us is every rabid to a person is a bigot, a racist, or both.
Because even though they'll never believe it. Even though
Well,
some of them will probably admit
right.
it, but many of them won't even believe it.
Right. Because again, for hundreds of years, think about how long the Crusades have been going on. And by the way, the Crusades have not stopped.
They haven't stopped, exactly.
If you think they've stopped, you're not paying attention. More importantly, as you and I have discussed ad nauseum, the Second Amendment was written as a compromise to slave owning states.
Correct.
That's the only reason why the Second Amendment exists. There's no tyrannical government. That's not in there. Tyrannical government does not appear in any of the written discussions about the Second Amendment.
Not only that, but the Constitution includes language about what would happen if you rise up against the government. So,
right. It's quite the opposite.
Exactly.
Right? But
exactly.
Charleston, what the fuck's his name? Heston.
Charlton Heston, yes. Yep.
Right. I don't know why that word wouldn't come out of my mouth this morning.
Moses. People
Moses.
Know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Set my people free. Meanwhile, he wasn't a Jew. Just for the record.
Exactly.
However, I am.
You are.
Yeah. Proudly. So that's called indoctrination. You literally believe something an actor said at an NRA conference that's not in the 2A, right? You don't understand what commas are, right? Independent and dependent clauses that are found within 2A. You don't even understand how to diagram a sentence. You pause when you think, gee, would I get rid of my firearms to protect my children if that's what it meant?
Their own kids. I've seen Brett ask that question many, many times, and
freezes
they pause when asked.
Deer in the headlights. Yeah. Ask me the question.
Obi, what would you be willing to give up your firearms if it meant saving Izzy's life or anybody or any stranger's kid's life?
I would melt them down for you.
In a fucking second.
Not even a question.
Exactly.
Not even a question.
Exactly.
Oh, hey, who's this? Ralphie. Oh, shoot. I wanted to play with my food. Okay, thank you, Mons. Time for a new guest. So you see, there was a racist and a bigot in the comments, just waiting to get pounced on. And if you don't understand why the Second Amendment is about a compromise to slavery and slave owning states, it's because Virginia wanted to be able to have a special force of people with badges, right, to go after runaway slaves. That was the compromise. If you don't understand that, I have a message for you. Books are not dangerous. Books aren't going to make you gay, right? Books aren't scary. Go read one. It's written history because the founding fathers, despite all of their faults, they wrote everything down.
Exactly.
Everything. Because that's all they had was a quill and parchment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday happened, and what was the very first thing everyone on X gleaned onto? Kash Patel comes out and makes a fucking statement based in absolutely no fact with zero context, and that's all they gleaned onto.
Correct.
Right?
I don't want flags. I don't want flags that have staff in the White House. I don't give a fuck. I want firearm legislation to protect fucking children's lives. Period.
Right.
Full stop.
And then the Thoughts and Prayers parade came.
Hmm? These children were thinking and praying.
They were thinking and praying at a Catholic school. I don't know what's more thoughts and prayers than young children at a parochial school, right?
Correct. Exactly.
Like how do you at what level, how many thoughts and prayers have to be issued, right? I don't think that there's ever going to be a number for people. And every time I hear somebody say, this is not the time, what does that mean?
Like to Brett's point, it's been 3 years since we lost Uzi.
Right.
When are we supposed to talk about it? And people ask the question, what we talk about the solutions all the time. We talk about it. See, TJ, now you asked the right question. What's the solution? We have introduced people who want responsible firearm legislation have introduced just that. Universal background checks, red flag laws, safe storage laws. I would support mental health checks if that's what it meant. And I would even go so far as to bring back the assault weapon ban. Those are compromises to help us address the number one cause of death for children in our country aged 1 to 18. Those are solutions. A solution is not arming teachers. A solution is not hardening schools. A solution is not giving more firearms, 1.25 firearms per citizen in our country. Registration, licensing, penalties, civil penalties to gun manufacturers for violence committed. Registrations, if you violate your, if we can register our fucking cars.
Yeah.
If we can register our cars, we can register our guns. Those are solutions. Every single time it's introduced by Democrats, Republicans refuse. 99% of all money from the gun lobby goes to Republicans. Those are your solutions, TJ. Be responsible. Call out your elected officials and demand that shit. Demand it.
I'm going to give you something that's going to shock you. I'm going to give you a high level example of what can be done. Are you ready? Because I'm going to do it in one sentence. So I want you to brace yourself.
I'm ready.
Do what the state of California does, full stop.
Love it. Love it. Responsible firearm legislation. The overwhelming majority of our country supports it. Obi, I love you, bro. Thanks for being here.
I love you. And TJ, you're being a troll. One more stupid comment, TJ, and I swear to fucking Christ, I'm blocking you from this live. One more stupid fucking comment, and I'm going to block you. This is your last fucking warning. I'm done with you, TJ. Go fuck yourself. Get out of this live before I block you. I love you.
You're out of here. You're out of the throuple, TJ, officially.
That's it. You're done. Now blocked.
Yep.
Okay. Love you. Sorry.
I appreciate you. Love you too. I'll talk to you later. No, it's okay.
Okay, bye.
That's all right. I'll talk to you later.
Let me go.
Bye. There you go. Hi, Jen. Thank you for your patience.
Hi. Yeah. How are you, Steve? You hanging in there? You're doing great.
Thank you. All right. Appreciate you saying that. How you doing?
I'm hanging in there. I've been thinking a lot about, it's as of yesterday and this morning listening to you. And one of the things that I think is a real problem with Republicans and MAGA is that somewhere along the line, they've lost their ability to have compassion for other things, other people. And they've become incredibly selfish and hypocritical. You know what I'm saying? So, for example, it's okay to take constitutional rights, but unless it's my rights, then that's not okay. Yeah, it's okay to take women's bodily autonomy, but don't tell me that I have to wear a mask and take a vaccine, right? Yeah, it's okay that Donald Trump, great, E. Jean Carroll, I can look over that, but if it's my family or kids, it's not going to be okay, right? It's okay to take healthcare from people as long as it's not my healthcare. There's so many. It's voter fraud unless it's my guy that wins, right? It's okay to manipulate the market unless I make money. Somewhere you have to look at yourself. I think that, and I know sometimes this can be difficult to do, but you have to take a minute to self-reflect and say, you know what? I have been being super self-centered and I've lacked empathy and compassion for other groups of people. And you've not put everybody on the same playing field, right? And if you can put yourself on the same playing field as other people, then we might be able to progress everywhere. You're not holding the Republicans responsible, but you hold the Democrats to a different level than you would hold your own Republican Party.
Can I challenge that a little bit, Jen, respectfully?
Sure.
You're thinking of it the way I do oftentimes, idyllically, that all of a sudden there'll be this revelation that they're going to develop empathy. They've been conditioned for years to hate things like what we're discussing, like universal health care is horrible, immigrants are horrible, women's rights are horrible, food stamps are horrible. So when your entire belief set, when you grow up under that moral umbrella, that all these people are a threat to our way of life, where does that empathy come from?
Well, and I'll tell you something. It's very interesting you say that, because I'm not going to dox myself, but I live in Northern California. And yesterday, the news announced that one critical access hospital is closing in 60 days. It is the only hospital for 30,000 residents in California, most of them low income, voted for Trump, disabled, get Medicare, Medi-Cal, and it's closing down. The closest hospital now is going to be 40 minutes away. And all of these people that voted for Trump and said, the big beautiful bill is great, we love it. And now look where we are. It's going to slap them right in the face, right? Yeah. And you still have people saying, oh, it was a terrible hospital anyways, it needed to close.
Of course. Of course they'll say that.
You don't understand the far-reaching effects this is going to have in that county. It's going to cause people not only to have less access to health care, but people who have life-threatening conditions that need emergency care are going to have to be ambulanced 30 minutes away. Those people in those hospitals are going to lose their jobs, and they're not going to have, like, the economy there is going to fall. Doctors and specialists are going to leave, and the economy is going to drop. The wait times in other ERs is going to increase. Hospitals are going to fill in other areas because they're covering more counties now. This is, it's not that easy. And now they're seeing, like, this is slapping them in the face. So maybe they needed to think through these things a little bit more. And it's really, really unfortunate that you have to learn the hard way. You know what I mean?
You're right. I mean, I always think about this. I mean, you guys know me well enough to know that my brain is constantly working. So I think about a situation like that, a hospital in Northern California that's closing. I would encourage Democratic funders, large pocket donors, to make a giant fucking billboard and put it right outside that hospital and say, this hospital is closing because of Donald Trump. And then when they want to come in and take it down, you put another one up. And then you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Well, and Steve, I'm going to tell you something that's even more disgusting is that the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services told this hospital that they are closing down because they were too close to the next hospital. They had to meet the 35-mile mark for them to continue to get critical access funding for this community hospital. And they were 32 miles. Because of 3 fucking miles, the whole community lost their hospital. 3 miles.
It's unreal. It's unreal. Thank you, Jen. I appreciate you very much, friend. I love you. Have a good day. Be safe out there. Okay. Take care.
Bye.
Hi, Certified. How are you today? Thanks for being here.
I'm good, Steve.
Certified Lover Girl. Let me complete your name because that's better to say than just certified. So there you are.
Thank you.
Welcome. What's on your mind?
No, it was what Jen was saying about the hospitals, and I just wanted to piggyback because I don't think if you're not in the healthcare field or if you're not in there, you don't understand the detriment of that hospital closing, and it angers me when I hear.
Because you're a nurse. You're a nurse, right? Is that
I
correct?
am. I'm a critical care nurse.
Thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you do. Seriously, thank you.
So I see people on their worst day when they're on death's door, and I'm not sure if this hospital was an urgent care, an ER, a trauma center, or whatever. But that hospital closing down in that area, 40 minutes away. Let me tell you, if you have a stroke, you need all 40 of those minutes. You are going to die if you are not seen very quickly. It is going to change your life. And I just, it just angers me when I hear this complacency of, that's okay. It wasn't needed anyway. That's okay. the, the immigrants, they're not needed here. That's okay. Like,
too much waste, fraud, and abuse. Right, Lover Girl? Too much waste, fraud, and abuse. Yeah.
That's all I wanted to say. It's very, I'm, that community needs to be in arms and upset, and they need to voice their concerns and try their hardest of keeping that hospital there. It's not even about the jobs, because let me tell you something, as a nurse, we can get jobs anywhere, regardless of what people think. There's another hospital that's hiring. There are other positions. The surrounding hospitals are going to be overwhelmed because that population has to be absorbed in there. So there's always places for jobs, but it's the people that need the care that are going to suffer tremendously. And that's all I wanted to stress. That's it. Thank you.
Well, again, I appreciate you for jumping in today. Thank you for the work that you do, and thank you for that perspective, because you're absolutely right. It's people don't understand the impact, but thank you again for what you do, and I appreciate you being here. Be safe out there. Have a good day. She's right. They're right. It's the real-time example, and we always keep asking ourselves, right? Like it needs to impact them, but even now it's impacting them, and they still don't seem to care. And I want to say this again, and I uttered it yesterday, and I heard this early when we started, and I think it applies in this case, right? People on the left will guarantee food for 100 people because they don't want one person to starve. People on the right will not guarantee food to anybody of those 100 because they feel like one person doesn't deserve it. Same thing with hospitals. Same thing with our healthcare system. Same thing with Medicare, Medicaid. They bought into the whole waste, fraud, and abuse. We've done the work. I've done the work. Less than 4% examples of Medicare fraud. And the bulk of that are clerical errors. Clerical errors. Not even on the recipient side. Clerical errors. But that's too much. So let's just tear up the whole fucking thing and then put people in poverty or cause people to lose their lives or cause rural hospitals to close, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then Donald Trump pardons one of the biggest fucking predators when it comes to Medicare fraud there is. And then there's Rick Scott in Florida. Thanks, Matt. Like you people, some of it's our own fault. Let's be clear, okay? Because this has existed, this brainwashing indoctrination on the right has existed for decades. What's been the counter from Democrats? Not enough aggressiveness. Strongly worded letters. Introduction of legislation through rhetoric, knowing you're not going to get the bill passed. Okay? So, ideologically, it's not both sides. Practically speaking, it's not both sides. Where corporate money comes from, it's not both sides. Okay? Problematically, you get division on the left, like we discussed earlier. And I'm fine with calling out your own party. You should do that as a responsible voter. You should do that. You should demand more. That's why I keep telling you guys, I don't want table scraps. I would like everybody, here's my request, okay? I would like everybody to consider the Democratic Party the way that Victoria and I talk about it. It's a means of transportation. It's public transportation. It gets you closer to home. It's not going to get you all the way there. It's going to get you closer. That's what we need. We need the journey. We need someone that says, okay, here we go. I'm going to get closer to home because these are the things that I want. And then it's up to us, the activism side of politics, right? The activism side to say, that's not enough. I put you in office. This is what I want. We're going to talk about expanding the ACA. Fuck the ACA. And I'm on it. I don't want the ACA. I want universal health care. Okay, well, we have to, again, I put you in office. I elected you. You work for me. That's what I want. Go out there and campaign for it. Go to the floor, go to the well of the House and stand up there and say, my voters voted for me. They put me here. My voters are demanding that we introduce legislation for universal health care, firearm reform, change the taxation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Demand it. Stop fucking settling. Stop settling. We do it too much. We have to stop doing that. Who's the request? Righteous Giggles. Okay. This is on us. We've seen examples of what happened in Iowa, what happened in Utah. We're starting to see the voice of the people. We're seeing judges step up and deny the Trump administration some of their bullshit. It is possible, but we have to do it. Hi, Righteous. How are you? Thank you for your patience.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I live in South Carolina. In the midterms, we have Lindsey Graham up for re-election, and Nancy Mace is running for governor.
Oh, boy.
So it's pretty serious. And we also have for 10 years, this is the 10-year anniversary of the AME mass pew-pewing, where we lost Reverend Clemente Pinckney. And
Has it been 10 years? I remember that. Has it really been 10 years? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. And babies and all kinds, right? And still, Dylan Roof is breathing. And that's unfortunate. I would like to request some assistance since it's been 10 years. We cannot get a hate crime act passed here. I've been very frustrated that we can't bring ourselves to do that. We've removed the stars and bars from the state house. So that's one thing. However, we have people strange fruited, and I'm a queer person. I've been helping with the queer exodus. And we have had so many police-assisted unalivings of queer folk left and right here. And so every day I live to help Lindsey Graham come to peace with his self-hate. However,
it's very well said. That's very, very well said. Yes.
But what we need some people to actually do an effing thing, because there's no reason that we should have had 7 people unalived in a church and still argue about that needed to happen. So I don't know if people want to slide in my DMs and have that conversation or what I need to do, but I keep asking for help for people to call and hold Tim Scott, Lindsey Graham, and Henry McMaster accountable for their inaction over the last 10 years of the Reverend Clemente Pinckney Hate Crime Act. Any one of them can sign. Just get the pen out. I've sent pens. We have made it so Lindsey Graham can't get alcohol in queer spaces because he's a predator. We had...
I love the penny. Thank you so very much for
games.
that. No.
We've been paying SWs not to sleep with him.
Wow.
We've been going hard. And so I'm just asking for others. I'm a rowdy woman and I'm not playing. And I know other people have kids and jobs. I do not. So I have the energy and the time for this. So if there's little things that y'all can do, at least to call, that would help. It's hurricane season, and Henry McMaster has sent our National Guard to D.C. So that makes sense.
Perfect sense.
Yeah. Women are included on those protected rights, right? So a hate crime against a woman, right? We would be able to put that there. So maybe we could get off of the domestic violence top 5. That would be great. Yeah. So I just need some people to fucking get busy and help. Because there seems to be a problem with people arguing, right? On the left, they keep nitpicking and wanting ego play games.
Yeah, exactly. The purity test.
And I'm done.
I'm with you.
I'm really done with it. Okay.
Yep.
So and that's why I wanted to ask you, what do I do with these people? that just want to have
agree.
fame.
Well, it's the problem that we face is that we need many of them, and that's my concern, right? So like I made this analogy earlier about how, think about what the right has done twice. They've elected Donald Trump and Republicans who vote against their best interest because they fall in line, and that's traditional. Republicans fall in line, Democrats fall in love. We need Democrats to fall in line, plain and simple. That's what has to happen. Yes. That's what has to happen. So that's kind of my mission. I just followed you. Can you do me, maybe message me with some of the things that you're working on so I can have some more information on it? We can put it in our Discord. We can put it in the link tree in my bio so we can help promote it. Would that be cool with you?
I would love any assistance. Thank you so much.
Okay.
That's exactly what I needed. And thank you all for listening and having time for SC.
Thank you, Regis. I appreciate you very much.
Make the South a little purple.
Agreed. Thank you for being here, friend. I appreciate you very much. Have a good day.
You too.
Okay, so people doing the work, that's doing something. I love the fact that they're paying SWs to not participate in Lady G's games. That's some sufficiently fucking petty shit, and I love it. I love it. Absolutely love it. Hi, Wildflower. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. What's on your mind today?
Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of jump in on the Medicare conversation that we were having.
Sure.
So I spent 5 years working for Medicaid, authorizing Indiana Medicaid and food stamps. And I currently work in the Medicare space, so I sign people up for Medicare, Social Security, and, all of that thing. So pretty well versed in, both of those aspects and how it kind of relates to the client. And I will say that the big, beautiful bill is fucking everybody over, as we all know. But with details, specifically, it's the privatization of our health insurance that's really gone downhill. And RFK is actually in the process of creating a bill that's going to push everybody to the privatized side of Medicare as soon as they sign up without having the option of going to original Medicare, which is actually more cost effective.
What do you think the plan is? Like, what do you mean? Because it's one thing to do something, but I always think about it in terms of they're doing it for a particular reason. Like, what do you think the plan is? We can easily say it's to pay for the tax cuts because that tracks economically speaking. But what do you think the plan is since you work in that space?
Well, I mean, off the record, unrelated to, what my current job is, I do think that they are using health insurance as a form of control because if they offered, a universal, single payer system, then we would no longer be forced to work. And, specifically, we are pushed more into employers because what the ACA did is when that was passed, that allowed a lot more options. Like it is literally the only major medical of, outside of group insurance. Now everybody can say that there's major medical, but there's not. When the ACA was passed, they made it mandatory to cover all of the things. So prescription coverage is actually optional on the private side. If you don't go through an employer and you have no major medical, you may not even have access to prescription coverage. They're not going to cover pre-existing conditions, which means you still pay your premium, but they just don't pay any of those costs. And so what I find in my personal opinion is that there's a huge population from 62 to 65 that want to retire but have no health insurance costs or health insurance options because, a lot of people between 62 and 65 have pre-existing conditions because they're 62 to 65. And so what they're seeing is that ACA allowed them to retire at 62, taking their partial retirement and then taking Medicare at 65. But without ACA, people are going to be forced to stay in the workforce.
Do you? So I'm curious about this, and you may not know the information, so I'm sorry if I put you on the spot. But one of the arguments that the conservatives have used, the Republican Party, through Project 2025 or the big ugly bill, is all this waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicare and Medicaid. And from what I've read, it's less than 5%, and the bulk of that is like clerical side, not even intentional fraud, not on the recipient side, just like errors. Does that track with what you know about your industry?
Well, yeah, absolutely. So I couldn't comment on, the specific percentage, but I will say
Sure.
that, a lot of my job is dealing with billing issues. And I feel like that's very intentional as it is too, is because, on the privatizing it, which I don't know if everybody's aware of what the privatizing is so, when you turn, let's just say Medicare, for instance, so you turn 65, you get on Medicare, you pay $185 a month just to have your Medicare Part B. And most people's Part A is free. So from that road, you get to choose original Medicare, which comes with, kind of a lot of expenses and copays with no cap. So what people do a lot of times is they choose Medicare Advantage, which is like a privatized option. And so those are like the carriers that you all heard of, like Anthem, Aetna, United Healthcare, and all of that. And so what happens is the government pays those companies to take over your care. So the government pays a set dollar amount, whether you use it or not. Now, what is kind of the big deal here is that, let's just say that you cost the insurance company more than, what they anticipated. Then the government has actually up to this point been paying what they call like reinsurance payments, which is just like them giving you more because you're more medically needy and you're costing them money. So you're kind of like taking a lot of that off of their back. So, in the case of waste, fraud, and abuse, arguably, that's very wasteful because they get to keep the savings. Like if you don't use the amount of money that they give you, they keep that and they spend that on administrative costs and all of that, but then what happens is like, once that's done, then, they get to keep it and do with it what they want. And so like waste, fraud, and abuse, yes, is a big thing, but I really do feel like the privatizing of it, includes a lot of unnecessary red tape. It's a lot of steps. And of course, the prior authorizations have gotten a lot of, buzz here recently. And that's a known issue, is that the only way that they can keep the costs down is by denying or delaying your care, right? So,
that's a profit center. And that's a profit center in private insurance, is they literally build in claim denials as a profit center. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure at this point, like there's somebody, it's a computer at this time that, literally just its only job is to deny first, because the harder you have to push back, the more likely you are to give up. Right. Mm. So like a lot of my job is, and I value my job because I don't think that, if you had group insurance through an employer, your HR isn't going to do this work. They're going to say, hey, you need to call Anthem, you need to call United Healthcare. But what I do is I actually go in and I look at the bills. I call the provider and then I call the insurance company and I say, okay, make sure that their answers match to like why, right? Because it's all complicated. So sometimes, let's say it's like a prescription or something like that, and let's say that they don't cover it, like it's not on their formulary, which is like their list of medications. So if it's medically necessary for you, like you've tried all of the other options and you had side effects or whatever, you fill out a form, or your doctor does, and then they send it in and then it gets covered. So it's a lot of unnecessary work on the administrative side of things. And so what that actually does is it forces those smaller independent facilities and doctors to spend more money trying to get the money that they've earned. Right. And so they're shutting down. They're being absorbed by, the big hospital systems, all around the nation, because health insurance costs are so expensive. They can't afford, to give health insurance to their families and all their employees. And then they have to bring on extra labor in order to fight insurance companies. And so, you've got this big convoluted thing. And then, the red tape is like, okay, billing has to go here. It's denied. Okay, well, you get the bill. Most people don't question it. They just pay it, right? But, if you were to push back, then you'd probably, find some solution on why it wasn't covered.
So to summarize, so yes, there's waste in the system, but it's not recipients abusing the system. There just happens to be waste in the system. Like everything else, nothing is perfect, right?
Right.
I mean, that's
right.
Yeah.
Right. But I will say, and a lot of the rights argument is, well, if we give them $0 doctor visits, they're going to use that and abuse that more often than if we made them pay for it. And while that's, and that's kind of their argument is like, we'll make them pay, kind of thing, which is kind of the idea behind a high deductible health plan is you're literally paying for all your care.
Correct. Whether you use it or not, but like everything else. Well, thank you for jumping in today, Wildflower, for that explanation.
Yeah, thanks for
I really,
having
really
me.
appreciate that. Sure thing, and thanks for the work you do. I appreciate you. Yeah, be safe out there. Take care. It's a really good point, right? It's a really, really good point. Systematically, like lots of things in our system, there are opportunities to address waste. But what's the goal? Like I said before, people on the left, right? Liberals, leftists, progressives, we're willing to absorb that. We're willing to accept the fact that there may be some waste in the system, that there may be some abuse in the system, because we don't want one person who would be eligible to receive these benefits to go without. The right will use WFA, waste, fraud, and abuse, as a means to remove everyone's coverage. It's another example. Like we talked about it before, food. 100 people in front of you as a leftist. You're going to guarantee that everybody eats. You don't want one person of that 100 to go hungry. 100 people standing in front of a conservative, somebody on the right. One of you might be abusing the system, therefore none of you get food. I feel like that's kind of where we are. Just like we talked about, just like some of the bullshit comments that were scrolling by when Brett was up here. You ain't taking my 2A rights because why should you punish a law-abiding American? Because people, and children in particular, are fucking dying in schools and in churches and in shopping malls and everywhere else. The number one cause of death, you pro-life fucking hypocrites, are firearms. Stop making excuses because you're scared of fucking paper masks and needles, you tough fucking alphas. The biggest pussies I've ever seen in my life. Bad word. Biggest fucking cowards I've ever seen in my life. That's why. I don't care if you're a law-abiding citizen, then you haven't got nothing to worry about. We want children protected. Period. Full stop. I don't want your arguments about everything else. To Brett's point, we have 1.25 firearms per citizen in our country, which means we're over 400 million guns. Therefore, we should be the safest country in the history of the world. And we're not. And your solution, let's just add more. Here's a thought experiment for you. When you want to put your campfire out, when you go to bed at night or when you leave the next morning, do you pour gasoline on it or do you pour water on it? Which one do you do? In the mind of MAGA, well, you know, I don't know. I'm sick of the whole, I'm so sick of the excuse making. That's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to me. Hey, Pat, how are you today?
I'm great. How about you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Well, just a basic thing about your, it's not about both sides. It's about, whatever. It's not both sides. Kind of a little couple things. I'm from Michigan, so we had the Oxford situation and we had the Michigan State University. Now,
correct.
So Democrats finally took over after 40 years due to gerrymandering, finally took over the state, had a supermajority. And because of the, what do you recall it, pew-pewings that we had, they passed in 2023 4 different regulations or laws to change some stuff. But, of course, as everything goes in this state, all the Republicans are like, no, you can't do this. You can't do that. We're not doing this. And even to this day, they're still fighting. No. Absolutely, we can't do it. It doesn't matter. No. You guys are just crazy. You're not taking this away from us. So I wanted to mention that. But what was more, how do I put it, not trying to take away from it, but more dear and dear in my heart is I have a brother who's a special ed teacher. Because there was this person that came on here to talk about special ed.
Yeah.
it's again, one side cares, one side doesn't.
Correct.
As I said, 40 years we had Republicans. We had a governor at the time, his name was Rick Snyder. He helped destroy Michigan as an education state. And what I mean by that is at one point we were like either the number one or at least the top state that people wanted to come to learn how to be teachers. People would just clamor to our state, our colleges, to want to be teachers. Now you can't even get a substitute teacher in high schools because nobody wants to be here. And so now, due to recent funding cuts and due to regulation changes, my brother, who has been almost going to be retiring like 6 years from now, I think it is, he's been a special ed teacher for almost his whole entire career. He's been helping kids, like, help teach them math and English and science and everything like that. Well, suddenly funding has went dry, or they reduced it. And on top of that, they've changed regulations to, well, if you don't have a degree in it, then you can't teach it. Even though the majority of the stuff that he's teaching, what he would have learned in college anyway, so could have easily taken care of it all these years. And now he's become just unfortunately, it's kind of more of a joking way to say it, try to take away the pain, I guess, joking way. He's now just a glorified study hall monitor. That's all he is now because of it. It's become ridiculous, and it's all the Democrats have been trying to fight for teaching and supporting teaching, and I hate to admit it, but in our state, a certain unqualified person named Betsy DeVos came from our state.
Yeah, we know.
Which is unfortunate because the actual DeVos family are huge supporters of public education. Huge. The DeVos family made Grand Rapids and has done so much for that community as far as teaching. But then you got her, who for years before anybody really knew who she was in the United States, she fought hard, very hard, to try to privatize everything in Michigan. And of course, we are all like, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And I brought up Rick Snyder because Rick Snyder, one of the things him and his Republicans did, helped to get rid of the power of the unions, of course. Now we finally have got that back. The unions have finally been able to take back control again. And regardless of what anybody feels about unions, in the teaching realm, unions will protect those teachers from getting a horrible, horrible contract.
Absolutely.
But when Rick Snyder and his bunch got rid of it, even at my brother's school, it was, hey, here's a contract. Oh, yes, we know it's a little bit less than you've been paying, but if you don't take it, you can go elsewhere. Whereas
Pat,
before it was...
Thanks for jumping in today. I appreciate it. I mean, I think it's just another example, as you pointed it out, right? It's not both sides, and we've got state by state examples, we've got federal examples, we've got town examples. I appreciate your perspective on Michigan, Pat. Thanks for jumping in today. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks.
Have a good day. I got to wrap, guys. This has just been emotionally draining, and I've got to switch gears because I got capitalism, because life continues. I want to say this. First of all, I really, 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 really appreciate the community that we have here and how we kind of all support each other. And how we just, we lean in hard. We're not afraid to have hard conversations in here. Never will be. You'll always get that from me. Well, we discuss these kinds of things, and I ask questions about the sensitivity of this topic. And I'm open to feedback from people who say, maybe we shouldn't do this or we shouldn't talk about it that particular way. I know that my mod team trusts me, and I take that very, very seriously. And I take the fact that you guys come in here every single day and trust me too. These conversations are hard. They are really hard, and they should be hard. They have to be hard. They have to get at your emotions. They've got to sting. They've got to hurt. They have to. It's got to be painful You've got to be sobbing. You've got to be sick to your stomach, because that's the only way we are going to have any hope to start to change minds. There are a large chunk of a population of our country that just do not care. Do you know what that means? That means that we need to care more. Power of empathy means that it's unlimited. And as soon as we start to lose our empathy, we got nothing left. As soon as we stop giving up on human rights, as soon as we start feeling defeated and we give up in the fight, then it's game over. We have to do more. We have to lean in harder. We've got to give an extra hard hug, an extra long kiss, an extra long moment of kindness, a more powerful moment of generosity and humanity. When I tell you guys to do something, it's not just the sign off of the show. It's because I fucking feel it. And we have to do it. Just the comments alone this morning when Brett, our dear friend Brett, my fucking brother, is up here talking about something that has impacted him. We never want that to happen to anybody. I don't want that to happen to anybody. And no one should. And we're listening to the comments, right? We're watching the comments going by about the horrible things that our people are saying. And Brett's standing there just taking it. He is standing there taking it because he knows what's at stake. He gets it. And I'm asking all of you to get it too. And lean in harder and do more and love more and show more generosity and show more kindness and show more empathy and show more support. Commit to helping people in your community. Support teachers. Support the infirmed. Kindness goes a long way. A long way. And we need it. And we need it more than ever right now. More than ever. Let's go raid. Who are we gonna raid? Is Daniela? Let's go visit the knitting cult lady. I haven't seen her in a while. At some point, she's going to be joining us. We'll be talking about all this kind of shit. You guys know Daniela, the knitting cult lady. Please go raid her. Tell her we said hello. I love you all very, very much. I really, really do. Tomorrow, we'll have our regular show tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow night, let's take a little break. Okay? Let's kind of clear our heads. Right? And talk about the soundtrack of your life. Let's kind of reminisce a little bit. Let's have a little bit of fun. If you're in our Discord, Sam was kind enough to throw out some ideas about things to think about. But please do that. I love you all. Thank you for